everyone. It's Stefan Popin from Lux Talks podcast. We are live and I am joined today by Guillaume Hernoux, who is an expat who arrived in Luxembourg 1 year ago. Guillaume, I really appreciate that you accepted the invitation to be the guest on my podcast. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you are doing in Luxembourg?
Hello, everybody. Well, thanks very much, Stefan, for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit. So, Luxembourg and us has been almost a year that we've moved to Luxembourg, myself and my wife, and I would say my main mission, it is to help business partners with the best companies. So, I've always been around partnerships. With two things, return the best talents or develop commercial offers and scale. So, I develop partnerships between, companies and the talents. And in order to do so, I've been in touch with business a little bit internationally. So I've started in Ireland 10, 12 years ago now, and moved to the UK, came back to France a little bit. And Luxembourg was a little bit of a new start, recently married, got an interesting opportunity. So there was a bit of a mix of everything that made us got interested to Luxembourg and made us move to Luxembourg actually last year.
And where were you coming from before coming to Luxembourg?
So I was, we actually were in Dublin for a couple of years. So I was working with a business over there to develop the channel partnerships. It was 4 years working there. And then it was a great opportunity to do something a bit different while keeping mainly, our track records around, partnerships and things like that.
Did you look at other places in Europe, or was it specifically Luxembourg, or did you have any interest in Luxembourg before?
So, I actually know Luxembourg for a pretty long time because I'm originally from the north of France. So I've been a couple of times when I was a kid. We were actually benchmarked in different places, right? Portugal was one, and Luxembourg a second one. Brazil was far away, but it could have been another one. Because
more exotic?
Brazilian. More exotic. But I think overall, the mixing between family life, professional life, being closer to home, being able to actually get a bit of everything made Luxembourg, an interesting choice.
Yeah, I remember maybe it was 1.5 years ago, or a bit more than that, when we met the first time. When you came for kind of orientation tour in Luxembourg. It's one of the discussion we had about having a good mix of what you were looking for in Luxembourg.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I do confirm, it was a bit of seduction tour as well, because I knew what Luxembourg 15 years ago, and then Luxembourg changed a lot,
Yeah.
So I wanted us also to share this with my wife, just to see a little bit more, what is actually Luxembourg right now? Is it a good fit for us? And yeah, indeed, we started to talk at that point and have a look, would it be a good country for us?
And you've been more or less 1 year in Luxembourg. How is your feeling as an expat, a new expat in Luxembourg, about life in Luxembourg, business in Luxembourg, social life, everything? Of course, it's a bit different now with the lockdown, but how do you feel about the whole concept of being a new expat in Luxembourg?
Well, I think Luxembourg is a very international country. And in that sense, I compare it very much to Dublin or London or even some areas in Paris. So we felt very quickly home and we felt good about it. I think it's pretty easy to integrate. As every country, you have to make the effort. When you don't know many people, you have to go and push a little bit yourself.
I agree. And it's sometimes why some people, when they move abroad, they can have some difficulties in integrating with the new country, is basically because they are thinking that the others will come to them and integrate them. But you have to make yourself the effort to go toward the others and, talk to them, invite them to make sure, to make new friends, new contacts. Otherwise, you will stay a lot alone if you don't do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think maybe a difficulty for some people, but I think one of the richest on our side is the languages. So we've been used at home to speak almost 3 languages all the time, French, Portuguese, and English. So basically, when you speak those 3, you can reach more or less, 99.9% of the population in Luxembourg.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't prevent you from, learning maybe a little bit of Luxembourgish. I think it's important because we can see during this coronavirus time, we're pretty well taken care here by the government. So I think it's good to give back. It's not an easy language, to be honest.
Especially if you don't speak German already.
That's it, So I'm a bit disappointed with myself on that. I thought that would be easier. But, if you have a bit of basics, a few sentences, I think the more important, it's always to kind of try and go to the other with a smile. The language is important, but
the body language as well.
That's it. If you're open, if you smile, if you're polite, it works, and it works everywhere. Not only in Luxembourg, in any country you can go and visit. It works.
Yeah, I agree. And did you have one big challenge or challenges when you arrived in Luxembourg, or for the past years, things that you didn't expect and were a bit surprising for you and were difficult to maybe overcome or to cope with?
So I actually have a funny one, and something I would have never imagined before coming to Luxembourg. It was speaking French and working in French, because I'm French born, raised in France, but I moved to Anglo-Saxon countries more than 10 years ago, and then your mind, I suppose, slightly change and get used to different things. So it's not because you speak to your parents in French, let's say, that you get proficient in every area. So your brain starts to segregate and separate things. So let's say on a professional level, so I work for the last 4 years only in English. I studied an MBA in the University of Reading with people from Taiwan, from the US, from the UK, from Ireland. And then you have methodologies that come to you and behaviors that come to you very much an English level. And then when you're having
the terms as well,
that's it.
The language that you use in a family life, a family environment is totally different than the one you're using in business. And of course, it might be sometimes I think the words that you're using in English come first before the French one, because them, it's the one you've been using in business.
That's it. And then and then I think you come with as well maybe not solutions that you've seen before, but when you're a cluster of companies working the same, functioning the same, you can say, okay, well, here is my key takeaways on, let's say, develop partnerships, or here's my key takeaway of retaining employees. And then actually you need to kind of actually have the capacity to step back and say, okay, but the culture scope is different. The behavior of people may be different. And so speaking back to French is fine, you just need an adaptation time. But reviewing your process, you're reviewing your capacity to, at the end, that's more or less the same solutions, but you don't take the same route.
Yeah, but it also there's a language issue, but don't you think there's also a cultural difference as well? You've been used to work with Anglo-Saxons, and then you end up working with mainly French-speaking people. That maybe some people that maybe didn't travel a lot and were from the region, I suppose. This might have make it difficult for you as well to have a different set of mind with those people.
Yeah, I think the main thing you have to remember is to always challenge yourself. It's not because you've been traveling a lot that people think the same as you and have changed the same way as you. And it's not because you've seen so many things that you're more proficient in a more local environment.
Exactly. Yeah, so I agree.
It's really much this thing, and having the humility of stepping back and say, okay, but how are you doing things here? And probably not just say, oh yeah, but you should do this, should do that, should do that. Probably they should. even though you don't know, but remembering, stepping back is very, very important. And you're just adapting. It's an adaptation. It's a constant adaptation to the environment you are. That's the main thing to remember. And it's not only the language, it's everything. It's the cultural, the behavior, the habits, it's the norms, it's the reference, So it's very much on the scale, learning how to step back and learning how to adapt to a new environment and try to make your best judgment, your best guess on how to act in a particular situation.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And sometimes maybe expat are not ready for that when they move. And I think they should be, the companies that are hiring them should also explain and emphasize that they should be ready to adapt, to be flexible, to be humble with the new country they are going to live in, within the new company culture they're going to be living in. Because otherwise it's going to be very difficult if you are not prepared to this change that you will have to make when you arrive in Luxembourg or any other country.
Yeah, and I think actually Luxembourg is very particular in the way that you have maybe half of the working population coming from abroad every day. Yeah. So you actually can adapt very well in a professional environment or very well in a personal environment and find it challenging between both. Because let's say if you compare with London or with Dublin, you tend to go out maybe in the evening with some mates or have a beer with somebody or sharing things in a different level. And actually what you have in front of you sometimes is just somebody that says, well, I'm arriving at 7 a.m. in the morning to cut traffic and I'm leaving at 4 o'clock. So the one thing that's very, very important is the bonding. When you want to be performing as a team, the bonding part is key. And it's very hard to create it sometimes when actually you work in different times with habits from different countries. So you're not just in an expat environment saying, oh, I'm in London and this guy is German, this guy is French, this guy is, and we all together expats and we kind of make it together. You actually have a guy coming from Germany, a guy coming from France, a guy coming from Belgium, and some people living in Luxembourg, all working together with norms, with behavior. And actually coming into this is really fascinating. And it's really difficult, I think, at the beginning, but that's the price I'm supposed to pay, to be able to step back and codes by codes, kind of like, okay, I can interact maybe better with this. Okay, maybe on the weekend, this guy living in Metz, let's go to Metz to visit Metz, would be great. Oh, this guy loves food. Okay, so maybe he's not much in the office, but maybe we can do an activity at lunchtime around this,
Yeah, you're right.
And I find it fascinating, because it's really different.
Again, it's the way you adapt to the situation. Yeah. And like you said, those people like myself, you take, cross the border in the morning and the evening. Maybe you don't have time to have a drink afterwards because you don't want to be caught in traffic. Which I don't do. I spend a lot of evenings, as you know, going to events. But it's the whole situation you have to adapt to, and it's interesting to have your view on that. And is there one thing that you wished you had known before you arrived to Luxembourg, or was it up to your expectations?
Well, I think the most surprising things, and I should have known that because actually I've grown up in a region with the same climate. But one more time, when you live abroad for a long time, you kind of get new norms into your mind. So we flew on the 28th of June last year. It was 12 degrees Dublin Airport, 7 p.m. It was 33, 34 degrees when we landed here. So it's really much like, okay, never take anything for granted. Yeah, actually, summer can be warm. And winter can be cold, but on another way, I think we went prepared for summer, and a couple of shopping sessions did the trick. But on the winter level, we came with high expectation. It's gonna be snowing. We need to have this. We need to have that. Actually, it snowed one day.
Yeah.
So
this year was particular. We didn't have a lot of snow compared to other years. So yeah, it was more a bit wet and gray, but not a lot of snow.
So it's like everything was more or less expectations. I think when you're traveling in Europe, there's not majors and massive change.
No.
However, it always keep it like in your mind that 2 hours from your place, depending on the climate you have and where you are, but maybe you don't have the Gulf Stream, so actually it's warm in the summer, or maybe you have the Gulf Stream and it's Brittany and it's very cold in the summer, very wet, So it's just a small anecdote, nothing major, but something I think interesting. And yeah, it has continual seasons, you have seasons, and it's great because you can enjoy them,
Yeah, it's what I like about the region as well, is that you have real winters and real summers. Even if sometimes it's a bit extreme during the summer nowadays, because it's with global warming, the summers are very hot, but still it's nice and we've been lucky to have the lockdown with such a nice weather as well. It's been nearly 8 weeks apart from last week, nearly 9 weeks with great sunshine. So that's quite interesting as well.
It is, yeah, it is definitely.
On a more personal side, did you have any passion that you were following when you were in Dublin, and are you able to pursue it in Luxembourg?
So I think there are a couple of things maybe around like team sport, Gaelic football, things like that I enjoy and like doing, and some, but it's not really much developed here, I would say. On a mutual passion with Marcela, hiking is one of ours, and actually in that sense, Luxembourg is fantastic. So you have a lot of forests.
You're right. I've seen a lot of pictures from Marcela. Great shots in the countryside. It's really nice.
I think it's really much. One more time, it's coming back to expectations. You cannot go to a country and just expect to do exactly the same as another country. You cannot bring your former country in a new country, but you kind of have a look on what the country proposed. Actually, there are a lot of things in Luxembourg on a cultural level. It's fantastic for so small country. Theaters, movies, any languages, so this is great. But on the hiking, maybe just walking and doing ballads and promenades perspective, it is very, very good, because from Luxembourg City, with a velo, you rent it for a couple of euros and you can go anywhere. You can buy forest, you can have maybe more bigger estates, like Kirchberg. Some like it, some others don't like it, but it's an interesting mix, and I think everybody can really find what they want to find in this. So definitely, great experience, and looking forward as well maybe to do other things, now that the lockdown is slightly lifted, when things will come back to normal, other activities, meet new people, try new things.
Just before the start of the interview, we had a chat about a new project of yours. Can you just share a bit about it? And I thought it was really interesting that after 1 year you're going to follow a new path, and I think it's interesting for the people listening to us as well to understand, that you might go into a new way of working and spending your time as a professional in Luxembourg.
I think it's kind of a good time. When you have things like coronavirus arriving, it's like a big shock. Everybody's kind of, oh, my job, or my projects, or my life, or my health, and that's normal, But then when you reflect about those things, major events creates a lot of opportunities. And I really feel that, that's the right time to kind of make a step back and look at the methodologies I've used within particular companies as an employee, or just with friends having companies, or with investors trying to get, ideas about other companies. And to really say, okay, my mission has always been to help business, either partner with their talents or partner with other business to kind of grow and scale and go to other markets. So I've used this lockdown to really reflect on this and say, well, actually, there's maybe the space to have two different offers that can complement themselves and that can, be linked to maybe even other professions in the market to work as a team. So the idea of the project is called Partner Eye, because partnership has always been at the center of what I've what I've done and how I'm seeing a company working. When you partner with your talents, you tend to work with them and not just work, on a project that you pay them something. You increase, their emotional contract, their attachment to the business, their willingness to kind of grow with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you work with business partners externally to scale and etc., you work as a team to grow somewhere. You may not have all the capabilities, but as a team, you manage to kind of get to new horizons. So yeah, that's very much the project I'm looking forward to kind of bring to market in next coming months, more, I suppose, as a company. And I'll probably be in touch with people I've seen before in other environments, and really looking forward to that. It will be a new way of working as well, because maybe a bit less office-based. Looking at potentially a co-working space, or I'm looking at maybe other ways, be more present to some customers, not just in an office, be remotely based. So I think it's very exciting times. It's strange times, right? But it's good as well. And I think the purpose of everything to be successful, to reinvent yourself all the time, and it's what I suppose I'm trying to do in this new environment, to try to look at the opportunities and see, okay, there are actually companies that need that, SMEs that have contacted me to do that, how I can serve them better, and not just pick one and try to do my best for one, try to mutualize the result and help an ecosystem that needs to grow better.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's that especially those small and medium-sized companies, they at one point they have issues in their growth, in their sales, because maybe they have a great product, but they don't have the internal capabilities on working on those projects, or on selling better, because they've reached a turning point, and having an external advice to guide them is really important, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good to be able to kind of expand your kind of circle of advisors. My real willingness with this project is to make it truly affordable for SMEs, because what I've seen in the market a lot is either you've the good contacts of you have worked with a big consulting firm before, and you get prime work, but as a high expense, and for an SME it's maybe difficult. Or you maybe a technical founder, or you have a great idea. You work a little bit on your process, on your system, on your finance, and your people, but you never really scale. So I really have this willingness to kind of go to this SME market, that do a reasonable turnover, that really proud of their brand, but actually I want to go better. I want to go to another level, and how I can do that. And most of the time, they're a little bit like, we don't really have the budget, we don't really know the people, and etc. So brute expertise, and
I totally agree.
with a lot of passion.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I mean, we went through that. We've after 3 years, we've reached a certain point where basically you are picked up and only focus on your day-to-day job, and it's very difficult as business owner to step back and have an overview of your business. It can be in every department. It can be in finance, can be in sales, can be in marketing, and to have somebody from the outside that is able to have a view on your business and explain you how you could do better, or work on another project to sell other products or things like that is very important and useful, I think. And it's a great idea, and I'm really happy that you did that in the lockdown. It's quite, you made good use of this time to launch a project, which is I don't know if I didn't hear of any other person or company doing that. So it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's the first week was very strange, and everybody was a bit in shock. But then maybe it's our both introvert natures with my wife. We kind of thrive into the quietness. It was strange, but it was almost like for the first 8 months or 9 months here, we've tried to do a lot, because there is a lot to do, a lot to discover, and etc. And it was a little bit like we were overwhelmed by the situation. We were enjoying it, but we couldn't really reflect. And the silence arrived at a moment where actually things start to, maybe this, maybe that. And we really enjoy kind of the thinking process with good and bad moments. Bad moments where you say, well, actually, it's very difficult, and the times it's crisis, people won't have money. And all the great moments are saying, but actually, it's not just us, not just them. We're all in there together. The opportunity remains. The cash remains. The willingness to grow remains. It's just gonna be different. And once you have a commodity that you unleash dogs and you say, well, actually, if it's different, it can also be mine. And then you start to think,
Yeah. And I think what is important is the positive energy.
Yeah.
I remember, I think the first week of the lockdown, at one point I was a bit down and saying, well, how is it going to be afterwards? How long it's going to last, and so on. And then suddenly I said, maybe it's an opportunity to do things differently, to work on our processes, I started the podcast, I started to do videos. So yeah, it's you have to reinvent yourself, and while the others are staying still, because you have people that didn't do anything, they were just moaning and complaining about the situation, but being positive, launching projects, you can go out of the crisis much better than it was before. And I think that it's important to stick with people that are like-minded in terms of energy and positivity as well.
I think this is key. I remember one of my older teachers was always saying, you are who you are surrounded with, right? So if you're surrounded by people that are demotivated, that depressive, that have a lot of problems, obviously you need to help them. That's not the point. We need to get out better altogether. But if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, if you want to reach a point where you are where you are in your dream and you realize your dream, you cannot be the most clever in the room. You cannot be surrounded by people that are not committed and dedicated. And I think striving about excellence with humility, that's the way to go out from this crisis and to learn. Because actually, the first few comments I got about these projects are very positive. But there's plenty to do and plenty to do better about this. It's an idea. It's just a baby recently born. We'll grow together on that.
Yeah, you will see. You will see that you set up a milestone and say, okay, I want to reach this, and you say, well, when I reach it, then it's going to be fine, more quiet. But then when you reach it, basically you're going to set yourself another goal, or you say, I want to improve. I want to provide new services. So it's a never-ending journey when you are an entrepreneur, because you have so many things to do, and you are thinking about so many things that you can improve or sell better or improve. So that's interesting.
But I think the community here in Luxembourg, it's also good. Luxembourg is not maybe known as the US or the UK or Ireland or France, the tech space, as maybe as vibrating. But I was really surprised, when I arrived here, you really have people that want to change things. You really have people that have ideas. And I'll be honest with you, the image that everybody has from Luxembourg and my image of Luxembourg, living in Luxembourg, is dramatically different. There is quality that everybody is aware of that. But this is a country to try things. This is a country that supports innovation. Nothing is perfect, but nowhere is perfect, and I think it's what I'm really looking forward is, and maybe it starts a little bit by talking together about this partner, thing, and share about it, and other people will listen to it. And I almost want to make a little call, if this resonates with you, let's just talk. It's not a definite project, it's probably just a vision of saying, right, we've made things working in a certain way, and that has proven results, But what about changing a little bit the mindset and thinking a little bit more sustainable? Not the environment only, this is very important, but in our mind, in our life, I don't think having to spend 3 hours in a car to go from Nancy to Luxembourg has to be set in stone, maybe once a week. But if we just do it once a week, maybe it's not 3 hours, it's just 35 minutes, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, in any project, you have to listen to people surrounding you. And I'm always saying, to people that I've been working with me, say, okay, if you see something that, you don't understand or that we can improve, just say it, and I'm always listening to other people, to what they are doing, to their new project, because it can help you to make things better for yourself as well in your company. And I totally agree. We can do things differently by changing few things, like everybody was saying before the lockdown, home working is not possible in a lot of sectors, blah, 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 blah. And the reality is that companies had to adapt, and it was possible. And nearly everybody was able to work from home for, the jobs that are office-based. So now it's only a matter of political will, of company will to do that. And I hope that it will, move in the right direction and, bringing people out of the road and having a better quality of life as well.
Yeah, I think it's very much, we very much undermine one thing in Luxembourg that has been present for generation. If you think well about it, at a time where, political things, have been, present, you see them everywhere. Luxembourg is a tiny country, but it has worked for generations and generations with country around them to be successful. And if you see the way, in my sense, comparing with other countries where family, from France to Brazil to the UK to Ireland, and God knows that every country has approached the coronavirus differently. This is not the topic to discuss what was the better or the worst, but in Luxembourg, we've seen, people from different countries living here, working for the others,
Yeah,
I think that's truly inspirational in terms of building business on how living together, we can make something happen if we really truly believe it and listen to the other ones, because it works. It has worked for generations here, so I think there is great ground to continue to build something. And I'm very hopeful about the situation and the thing. Maybe not everybody will work from home, because maybe some people don't want to work from home. But I think overall, people will be clever about it.
I think you need to have a mix, because we still need the interaction with people, the physical one. Hopefully we'll be able to do that one day. But, like you said before, after work to have a drink, or, go for lunch with your colleagues or things like that, exchange, doing it on Zoom or doing it on any other platform is not the same. And you need to have a mix of both, I think, so that it works well.
Yeah, we remain human beings, and human beings, we have 5 senses, and one of the senses, we have to feel, we have to see, we have to touch, ultimately, we have to shake hands, that's who we are. So yeah, a better mix, I would say, of the different approach, it's something that really need to be thought about.
Great. Lastly, what are 2 or 3 tips that you could give or advice that you could give to our listeners who would like to relocate to Luxembourg?
Yeah, so I think we've covered a few things through the podcast, but my takeaway on that, and what I'm saying often to people that look at Luxembourg with shouldn't I, the main thing is prepare well your finances, right? So this is not as expensive in my sense as everybody says, if you're careful about what you're doing. But if you're coming here, you want to rent and etc., you will need to bring a little bit of deposits and a little bit of fees for an agency. So I would say look at it and make your budget before, So don't just come and say, hey, it's easy, No, it can be easy. The process, especially with you guys, has been extremely smooth, because we actually just went once to visit flats with 20 flats. We picked one, it worked perfectly. But you have to give yourself a chance for your services to work. You're not just magicians. If the people don't make their job before, prepare, budget, come, be on time, it doesn't work. So that's the first thing. I would say budget well and prepare well. The second thing I always say is, okay, everybody speaks English in Luxembourg, maybe, but try to learn one of the three main languages, French, Luxembourgese, German. I'm a little bit biased by French because I'm French, but I think in any way, speaking one of the three is very good to be able to interact with more local neighbors, just to build relationship, you know. And I think Luxembourgish on top of that, I would say try it. You know, it's not easy, but it's always nice, you know, to try to make a little effort. As basic as Morgen, Svansklift, for please, or Adi or Merci. Merci is not even complex because it's the same as French, you know, but make an effort with the language. You know. Maybe 2 or 3 others, you know, yeah, don't be shy, mingle with people, you know, it's very important. Don't stay alone by yourself, you know. Maybe you will have a very busy jobs, but you have evenings, you have weekends, you know, meet people. If you don't meet people, it'll be boring, you know, but you'll be surprised how not boring it can be when you start mingling with people, you know, and use the fact that there is free public transport in Luxembourg. Even if you're not driving, you know, take the train on the weekend, you know. We see Luxembourg as, okay, Kirchberg, Gasperish, Mel, Bel Air, and, you know, Luxembourg city is this, but Luxembourg as a country, you have London, you have the castles, you have Echternach, you have wonderful things over there. You have the region of the Sur, which is sure, you have some lakes, you can do biking there. And if you're just more relaxed, not less sporty, don't want to go there, go to Remisch, across the Moselle, you know. So discovery, you know. The main thing you need if you want to enjoy it is take the time to do it. You know, nothing comes from granted. That would be my main thing. Don't come here and say, oh yeah, but you know, we'll see. Try to take the initiative all the time. Be open-minded, you know. And the last one, maybe as we said, is don't come with your former country in mind. You know, if you were living before in, let's say, a country like France, and you say, oh yeah, Luxembourg is a bit like France. It's not like France. You know, it's Luxembourg. You know? It's not because people speak the language that it's the same. It's not the same in Canada and Montreal. It's not the same in Belgium. It's Luxembourg, you know. So open your mind and just enjoy it. And what I can tell you, 10 months after, if you really truly do it, you're gonna love it, you know. But you need to do it, and you must want to do it. And that's come with an awareness of doing so, you know.
Yeah, I think the problem is that people that come to a new country, very often they compare to the other country, saying, oh, it was better in this country, or it was this and that. And like you said, you need to have a fresh mind, you know, like a reset, you know, and you arrive in a new country and you have to make out the best of it. I mean, I've seen you've traveled around Luxembourg. A lot of people, they would arrive in Luxembourg or wherever in the city where they're going to live. And basically, they don't move out. They don't go in the countryside, and they don't go to visit other towns or villages. And you cannot understand and have the feeling of a country if you don't, you know, go out and reach out to people.
No, yeah, I think it's very, very important, and it's not even, you know, I understand the budget thing. You know, some people may arrive with different level of budget, but literally, it costs you nothing if you live in town to take the bus to the station, to take the train to somewhere, and to pack a sandwich in your bag. It's a free day out, you know. So it's really much a question of, you know, let's just do it.
Yeah, and, nowadays with the free transport, it's not a question of budget. It's a question of will.
Yeah, that's it.
You can go wherever you want in Luxembourg by public transport, and it won't cost you anything. So it's just a question of, yes, okay, today it's going to be a great weather. Let's take the train and going to you know, have a walk in the north of the country.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Yeah. Definitely. So yeah, but it's it's really a lovely country, and there is everything here for you to succeed. But yeah, nothing comes from granted. It's the same in life. So you have to know what you want, and with humility, just go and get it. You know, and there's a good community. So if you want to grow with a community, if you want to be in an international community, and if you want to be successful, I would really encourage you to have a look at Luxembourg, see what Luxembourg can propose, see if it's a good fit for you, and even contact myself if you want. Contact Stefan, just have a chat. You know, I think the most important thing is start with a chat. It's where we started 2 years ago before coming, and I think give it the time. You know, think about it, think the positive, think the not so positive. They are everywhere. And then when you've decided, just do it, and don't look back. The worst thing is bad expectations or expectations. That's it. Come with no expectations, just expectations to want to enjoy it, and you grow.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Guillaume. If our listeners want to connect with you, what is the best way to do that? If they want, to ask you questions about how you moved to Luxembourg, or to have more information about yourself, I will put the information in the podcast notes so that people can do that.
Yeah, I think the best way is just LinkedIn. I have an open profile, so you can connect with me, ask me any questions, and I'll be more than happy just to give you my thoughts, my feelings, and anything that you may want to know about Luxembourg. So LinkedIn profile, that's the best.
Okay, thanks for joining the podcast, Guillaume. Much appreciated, and we'll be in touch soon anyway. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Stefan, for the invitation. Take care.